To be honest, I feel like every time I go on TikTok or have to watch a TikTok or even hear the name TikTok, I lose some brain cells. But today I wanted to discuss some examples of homophobia on TikTok because regardless of how much I may hate it, it is unfortunately shaping our society and just how we interact in general. So without further ado,
So there are transphobes in this world who think that I, as a cis lesbian, can't be attracted to trans women and that their presence somehow threatens me.
it's more so that we don't think you're actually a lesbian, because a lesbian is a homosexual female, a woman who is only attracted to women. And trans women are not women, they are men who choose to make themselves look like women as best as they can. And the fact is, as a legitimate, homosexual, a legitimate lesbian, it does not matter to me how many surgeries they get or what clothes they wear. I am unattracted to them by the mere idea, by the mere concept that they are male. Their maleness is repulsive to any actual lesbian.
I'm just going to present some evidence to you about why you're wrong.
Just because you personally fancy yourself a lesbian and you personally are attracted to trans women doesn't mean that actual homosexuals, actual lesbians are. Secondly, it is legitimately dangerous to those of us who are actual lesbians to perpetuate that you can be attracted to a male. Because you can't. And the idea that you can somehow rape away the gay, or basically conversion therapy, it all stems from that idea that you can change that you can somehow make a female homosexual, a lesbian, attracted to a male. And you can't.
Hello? Have you seen her? Laverne Cox is 50 years old. Excuse me?
I could kind of see why you might, be attracted to, Laverne Cox or something. I could kind of see it if you were bisexual or if you were bisexual and okay with dating a trans woman. Great. But this one, really? That's the pinnacle you're holding up as the epitome of trans beauty? Because you see, the problem here isn't that, you can't like trans women. You can. I have no problem with you dating a trans woman or whatever. The problem that I'm having is that you're portraying this as being a form of lesbianism. And when you open the door for that with discussions like these, you end up having literal men who say, oh, I'm a lesbian now, and they do nothing to change anything. And they end up pushing themselves into our spaces to the extent that if you go on Her, an app made for lesbians by lesbians, you can no longer actually find lesbians. Half the people on there are just looking for unicorns, or they're men. And it's just very disheartening because not only is it dangerous, not only is it presenting a legitimate danger to lesbians by presenting the idea that we can be attracted to men if they just look the right way, but it makes it impossible to talk about our own experiences, because the minute that we do, it's, well, don't forget, some people have cocks, some women have penises.
Look at this gorgeous human being. I am obsessed with her. She's beauty. She's grace. She's Nikki Tutorials. Come on. It is a lot more fun over here on the trans-inclusive side of lesbianism.
And this is what it all comes down to. A woman can't say no to a man. And a lesbian who has no real reason to prioritize a man in her life because she's a lesbian is being presented with, here you go, here's a man for you to prioritize. You can't have boundaries anymore. You can't just say, hey, no, the answer is no, because we've all played nice with it. Hell, on all of my dating profiles, I literally point out I'm not interested in dating someone who's not a signed female at birth and who identifies as a woman, because you have to play those games or else you get banned. And they still want to push against those boundaries. You can't just say, no, I don't want to date you because you're a trans woman. And it's somehow bigoted to have boundaries. And that is incredibly dangerous for women because we already aren't allowed to have boundaries. We're already socialized to be nice to everyone all of the time at our own expense. I try my best not to comment on people's appearances unless relevant to the commentary, but I'm sorry, her makeup looks so stupid. It looks like a Kabuki mask. It looks like a costume. And for her to go and say, oh, lesbians who do not like men cannot complain about men. That is bad. That's how you're not going after men talking about gay men talking about what they don't like about vaginas. You're not going after straight men criticizing everything about the woman they want to date. Why do you have such an issue with lesbians saying they don't like men? It's not like it's that difficult to understand. For literally generations beforehand, before we got to the TikTok generation, it was understood that a lesbian did not want to date a man, and you couldn't change that. But nowadays, it's, you're being mean by saying that you don't want to date men. Okay. This one in particular annoys me because this is someone who says they're aromantic and asexual, and they just appreciate women aesthetically, more or less. Then you're not a lesbian. Being a lesbian is being sexually attracted to other women. And I think it comes to this idea of like having to be available to everyone all of the time. And it's impressed upon girls so young that they have to be sexually and romantically available, that the fact that they're not feeling something automatically makes them think that they're, oh, maybe the problem isn't society, maybe the problem is me. Maybe it's my fault that I'm not feeling things, and therefore maybe there's, something wrong with me. Or nowadays, instead of a diagnosis, it's going to be more so, oh, it's an identity. I identify out of being harassed and treated with misogynistic tendencies. I'm going to identify out of this by saying I'm aromantic and asexual, so therefore I'm unattainable and I can prevent myself from being hurt. And of course, TikTok and social media in general presents lesbianism as being this adorable cottagecore vibe thing where you are just having tea and dresses and you're basically just doing a romanticized best friend things. I'm sorry, but you're not a lesbian. You're just most likely a girl who's still in high school who hasn't had time to figure herself out yet. Leave your hometown and I promise you'll be able to learn a bit more about yourself versus, I don't like men, so therefore maybe I'm a lesbian because women are pretty. Your mama must have dropped your ass. I feel like Ricky Tiki Tavi. We mobbing through the lobby. The faggot try to rob me. No, like the little bitch. I feel like Ricky Tiki Tavi. I legitimately do not understand this trend of what is essentially coming down to straight people thinking they have like a pass to use slurs. I know that it started with the proliferation of queer. Like now it's no longer a slur, it's an umbrella term. And so now you have businesses even using it in their Pride Month postings or whatever. But now it's spreading to people using fag or dyke or something when they're not a part of those communities. And personally, I don't think you can reclaim slurs to begin with because you can never erase that original meaning. But it's really interesting to me how the gay slurs are the ones they're okay with saying, but no one's trying to claim the trans slurs. No one's out here trying to reclaim those or say that they're entitled to it because they're queer. Because, it's almost as if the trans people are different than the gay people. It's almost like we have nothing in common at all.
If you ever want to see just how completely incoherent gender-critical TERF ideology is, just ask them how two transbians in a T-for-T relationship can still be straight.
Aha! I have a meme for this. Because, see, first off, I've never heard anyone claim that every trans person is actually straight. There is a larger population of straight trans people, and I've noticed discussion around that topic, but no one's saying that you're trans and therefore you're straight. No one's saying that. Secondly, what you just described is homosexuality. It's male homosexuality, not female homosexuality, because you're not female. See? It's really simple, easy to clear up.
They are very insistent that we are actually straight men, but
no, see, what we're actually insistent on is that there are straight men who are taking advantage of your movement to be predators to women and children. That's what we're insisting on.
The logical pretzels that they have to twist themselves in when so many of us end up dating each other.
Oh my gosh, you want to talk about logical pretzels? Oh my god, that's so sweet. Because we're not the ones denying that sex is real. No, we're not jumping through hoops to explain how a species of fish that can change sex somehow means that humans can. And we're certainly not homosexuals who are transitioning to appear straight and then somehow becoming the opposite type of homosexual for funsies, I guess. We're not the ones thinking that a dress and makeup makes us a different sex than we actually are. But if you want to talk about logical pretzels, I mean, go on, tell me what you actually think we believe, because something that I've learned is that you guys almost never, not almost, you never know what the hell we believe. As per usual, you found women to call witches and to blame every ill in the world on, and you want to make us shut up. That's all this is. It's nothing new. Every time a woman speaks up about something, we are told to shut up and be quiet. You are nothing new.
Oh no, you don't understand. They're both straight men, but they perceive each other as women because of their twisted auto-gynosexuals. So,
yeah, well, what we actually say is that there are two kinds of trans women, the auto-gynosexuals, the AGPs, and those with deeply internalized homophobia. And that's what you sound like, the deeply internalized homophobic gay man who thinks that it's easier to be a woman. And maybe you do, maybe you are an AGP as well, because I don't understand the mental loops it goes through to be like, yes, I want to be a woman, and then date another man who thinks he's a woman, but I don't understand you, period, so.
You understand that gendered perception can be different from gender reality, but only under the circumstance that it lets you be transphobic.
Gender perception. Okay, so basically you're saying you can be fooled by wearing the trappings of a particular gender. But I don't think that's necessarily true. On the internet, it's easier to use makeup and lighting and filters to make a trans person pass better. And I'm not going to claim that I have 100% clocking accuracy, because I don't. But typically when you're in person, it's pretty obvious through quite a lot of reasons, because we have a lot of differences, sex differences. It doesn't matter if you're wearing a dress or wearing gendered things, because gender is just the roles ascribed to you because of your sex. And so if you're wearing the things that are ascribed to the opposite sex, sure, I guess someone could mistake you for a woman at first glance, but as you admitted, it doesn't change your actual reality. And if that's the case, you're a man dating a man. In your own argument, you admit that you're a man dating a man. Anyhow, this, dear viewers, is where we part. These TikToks were lovingly curated by my friend Willow, who makes the treacherous journey onto TikTok for me, because I die a little inside every time I have to log on to my business account. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments down below, please let me know. These are just a very small sample of the homophobic things I have seen on TikTok. But I think it just goes to show that it's not necessarily as blatant as we're going to, put her head down the woman's toilet or send her to conversion therapy. Like, it's not as blatant as it might have used to have been, but it's still there. It's just in a different perversive way. It's there in a social pressure to once again center and please men. And quite honestly, I think that's worse, because at least now you can't call this out. At least when it was violent, at least when it was blatant, you could at least admit to it. You could get people to admit that this was homophobia. But this is parading as wokeness, as social justice, and that's a lot harder to battle.